Well, my name's Liz, and I'm an alcoholic.
Hi, Liz.
This is my story. I'm a late bloomer. I didn't start drinking till I was 30 some years old, about 30 years old. After I left my first husband, we separated anyway. And then it was party time. I never really partied when I was younger, so this was time to party, and I didn't have any idea I was an alcoholic, or had never really drank much before, so I didn't know anything about it. But I started drinking, and I liked it, because I didn't have an identity. I didn't know who I was. I was always somebody's child, and then I was somebody's wife. And so when I separated from my husband, it was kind of like, I felt like one of the astronauts that they go out there with a tether on, and they're out there, and then all of a sudden somebody cuts the tether, and there they go. That's how I felt. I mean, I'd always worked. I'd always had a job and paid bills. I knew how to do that stuff, but the inside stuff, I didn't know how to do. Drinking helped that. When I drank, I didn't care. Plus, I had to find another man real quick, because I was codependent, so I had to. So I went. The best place I thought was a bar, because when I was drinking, I felt prettier and braver and uninhibited. Boy, was I uninhibited. But anyway, so I started drinking and started getting out of hand. But I didn't recognize that. I didn't know anything about alcoholism. I didn't know anything about anything, really. I'd led actually a pretty sheltered life. It got worse. I got a DUI after a while, and so then I had to go to these AA meetings and have a paper signed, court ordered. But I decided to cop out on that. I decided that well, first of all, I wasn't going to quit drinking because I didn't think I was an alcoholic. So I decided I was going to go to San Diego. So I took my little stuffed moose and plenty of cigarettes, plenty of booze, and got in my car. Somewhere around 47th Street, the bypass, I got another DUI. So I got another one before I got done getting my paper signed. So then that was 2. So then it was go directly to jail, do not pass go, do not collect $200. I had to spend 5 days in jail, lots of court costs. And then when I got out of jail, I had to go to a home for wayward adults called a halfway house. It was Jim James's halfway house. And I lived there for several months. Then I was still drinking. Well, I wasn't drinking while I was staying at the house, but then I decided to drink again. So, because I still had all the bad behaviors of an alcoholic. I was having an affair with this married man at work, and he wasn't treating me very nice, so I got upset and got drunk. And so they were going to throw me out of the halfway house. Well, if they did that, I'd have to go back to jail. So I whined and snivelled a lot and got myself back in the halfway house. And ended up quitting that job. And I did find another job. And I worked there and kept drinking. And once I got out of the halfway house, of course, I didn't go to meetings. I didn't do anything AA related. So I kept drinking. And then something happened. The company I worked for liquidated. I didn't actually get fired or anything, but I lost my job. So I started drinking every day. I was on unemployment. And I just got very full of despair and very depressed. I think I'd get up in the morning. This was a while back, so they had Lassie on TV. I'd get up at 6 o'clock and watch Lassie. And then at 9 o'clock, Phil Donahue would come on, and that was when I'd start drinking. I would watch that, and then, probably by about 10 or 11 or noon, I'd be rolling around on the floor screaming for somebody to kill me. I couldn't stand to be alive anymore. Couldn't stand to be alive. But I didn't have the guts to try to kill myself, so I didn't know what to do. So I'd get real lonely though, and I'd call everybody I knew in the United States. And I remember this one person, I don't remember who it was. I called them up and I told them I was going to kill myself. And they said, well, you just go right ahead, just don't call me again. And I thought, oh wow, well I guess I've run out of friends. But I did call my ex-husband. And he suggested I go to Sedgwick County Mental Health, and looked up the phone number for me and asked me if I would promise to call them as soon as I got off the phone from him. We always had a lot of respect for each other, even though we were divorced and whatever. So I said I would, and I did. And they put me with an alcohol counselor. I couldn't figure out why they did that, just because I was totally drunk when I called them. But anyway, so I'd go down there, downtown. I'd have to take a bus. My car didn't work anymore. I'd have to take a bus. But I just couldn't seem to quit drinking. And I was actually going to meetings too. But I just couldn't seem to quit drinking. So she found me a place I could go. I didn't have any insurance because I didn't have a job. My unemployment was running out. But she found me a place that would take me, and I'd sign a contract and pay $20 a month. You know, well, at that time, Polish jokes were trendy, so I'd say I was on the Polish payment plan, $1 a year for 6,000 years, because that's what it cost, was $6,000. But anyway, I signed that contract and went into treatment for 30 days, inpatient. And I decided that I was going to really try it this time. I'd never really tried it before. When I was in the halfway house and whatever, I never really, even going to jail, that didn't faze me. It did while I was in there, but not after I got out. Anyway, I decided that I would really try to work the program this time, because I just couldn't stand myself anymore. I hated myself. I hated the world. I hated everybody. I couldn't stand to be alive in this world anymore. So I went and I stayed, and I actually enjoyed treatment. I couldn't get that God stuff though. That didn't go well with me, because I was raised in a very strict religion, and I had a lot of bitterness towards that religion. And so I just couldn't get the spiritual aspect of it. But I can remember going down to the chapel and sitting there for a little bit and just kind of saying to whomever, I don't know if there's a God, but if you're there, help. And that was about as much as I would do. I did work the other steps though, as best I could. And one of my very first sponsors told me to just pretend there was a God and pray. Or even if I didn't want to do that, just pray and see what happened. So I did that. That kind of helped. And then I ran into my sponsor, who's still my sponsor, Kathy, and she helped me with the spiritual part. She helped me a lot because, you know, I didn't have to think I could separate religion from spirituality that way. By talking to her and listening to what she had to say regarding it, I was able to separate the two. Before that, I wasn't able to. The minute I thought of spirituality, I thought of religion and closed my brain and would not listen. But somehow she managed to help me get past that. So then I was able to believe in a higher power, and I was able to count on my higher power and trust and believe and have faith in my higher power. Today that's real important to me because, well, you probably can't tell from this, but I am on my deathbed now. I'm dying of stage 4 lung cancer. And so I'm glad that God and I are on speaking terms now. But we have been for a number of years. I've been sober 28 years. And it's been the best 28 years out of my whole life. And I'm not sure what else to say. That's my story. I'm trying to figure out why I'm still hanging around. I figure there must be something that I need to learn or do or say or be in order for me to pass on. So this is one of the things I'm trying, is telling my story. I don't know if it's going to work. If I crap out tomorrow, you'll know that was it. Anyway, I guess that's all I got to say. Namaste.
Thanks for sharing. That's awesome.
Was it any good?
Oh, it's perfect.
Oh, good.
Did you say your sobriety date?
I said I was sober 28 years.
Oh, well, what was the date that you got sober?
February 8th, 1986.
All right. That's awesome. Thanks for sharing.
Sure.